Dzień dobry Państwu. Jesteśmy w studiu Dziennika Gazety Prawnej podczas kongresu CYBERSEC w Krakowie. Ja nazywam się Dominika Pietrzyk, a moim Państwa gościem jest Pan Luca Tagliaretti, dyrektor wykonawczy Europejskiego Centrum Kompetencji w dziedzinie cyberbezpieczeństwa. Zapraszamy. Rozmowa będzie w języku angielskim, więc już teraz przechodzimy na angielski. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominika.
We'll talk a little about some cyber skills, and in the beginning, some numbers. We have 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs worldwide, and almost 1 million in Europe. How can we address this challenge?
Yeah. First of all, it's a very good point. The numbers are not really clear. So we got sometimes from the Commission statistics between 250,000 and 500,000, some other times 800. So it's an issue already, the definition of the number. It's, in my view, the biggest challenge that we have at the moment as a European Union, looking at cyber, but more in general, looking at digital skill. Digital skills are essential not just for the profession, but for our day-to-day life. So now how do we interact with AI? How do we interact with the new technology? How do we prepare for supercomputing? But also, and is why we're here today, how do we make our digital market more secure as a citizen, as a company? So it's an important, very important problem. And I see 4 dimensions of criticality. The first is the number. So you mentioned the number alone are so big that it's an issue that requires structural and somehow societal change. The second issue that we have is that it's so difficult to coordinate a common approach in all 27 states, member states. Each member state has its own policy, has its own university system, has its own training system, as his own curricula, so there is an issue of coordination. The third difficulty is the fact that this is a moving target. So we have now a number of skill gap in cyber, but this is not a fixed number. As AI is coming into the industry, some of the skill gap now, the gap will be closed by AI, but some other will open. So it's also difficult to really target what is the exact area that we want to invest. And the fourth is that whatever we do takes time. It will take years, but we need the people now. So I see, if these are somehow the scope of the problem, I see 2 approaches. We need to tackle the problem from both sides. One is the human side, and the other is the technology side. So let me maybe elaborate. On the human side, there is a lot that we could do for upskill, so making people already in the industry train on cyber. We can also take advantage of persons in the middle of their career to reskill them. You don't need to go through an old university degree. We could do pledge with the industry. We could do training. There's a lot that we could do on the human side, and we already do. Maybe we can elaborate later. But also we need to look at how can we reduce the gap by using technology. So is there something that we could do, for example, to make a small and medium enterprise more resilient so that we don't need to have a person? Can we move on cloud so that we need less IT experts on premises? Can we create platform for training so that it's easy for everybody to learn? So there are two angles. One angle, which is a classic one, let's say training, upskill, curricula, and then one which is more closing the gap from the technology side.
Okay, so maybe now let's focus on this human side.
The human side.
Because actually I don't understand what are these cyber security competences. What do we mean when we are talking about these competences?
Yes. Well, I mean, our center, the European Cybersecurity Competence Center, has a broader scope. So, in general, prepare the industry, prepare the market for being more resilient. But if we look at the human side, the competencies are the ability to to understand how system work, to understand how threat can be prevented, to understand how to react, even on a day-to-day life, to understand how react in case of a cyber attack, how to prevent it, how to address it. There is also another competence that we're missing, which is how do we build the future? Because now we are just talking about how we protect ourselves. But the big challenge for Europe is how do we build a more modern future? So do we have people who could work on supercomputing? Supercomputing is a big area. Europe is maybe the second country in the world in terms of development of supercomputing. How do we create the professional expertise for that, or for the new AI revolution? So the competencies are, okay, the one that allow us to be protected, but also the one that allows to be more competitive. So I think and what we have today is that we do not have a common market on cyber expert. We do not have a common framework for the syllabus of university or syllabus of training course. So there are some work now done by ENISA together with us on a framework for cyber skills, so that you could test yourself on the different part of the skill. Say, I need to develop this part or that part. So you know where you need to grow, and when you apply for a job, the employer will know what's your level of readiness, preparation.
Okay, and who should be responsible for building these competences?
Yeah.
This is a task for public sector or private sector, or maybe a cooperation with some universities?
Yeah. Well, we are really at the core of our mandate is cooperation. I'm a very strong believer in cooperation. There is nothing that can be done alone by the private sector or by the public sector as well. We are, as ECCC, we are a small entity, but even the Commission alone is a small entity. So first of all, need to be done, the coordination can come from the Commission or from the ECCC. The implementation need to be done by member state, and this is done through the university, through the public sector, but more important through private enterprise. Trainings, upskill need to be done by experts in teaching. So it cannot be done by us; should be by private organization. So we, as a center, we provide funds for this type of activity. So we provide grants to companies who provide training. We don't do ourselves. This is one channel. It's always like a drop in the ocean. It's a really big, and this is why the dynamic need to change. It need to really be a bit of a cultural change, where we could steer, we can nudge in the direction, but we cannot really push it to the end unless there is a member state push. And I know it's difficult when I talk to university and they say, yes, we could do cyber, but which subject do we drop? I mean, they also have other priorities. It's difficult for university to drop one subject to provide, cyber. So it's always a competition even at that level. A lot of things are happening between a member state level, between university and research center and industry. We need to map that. I mean, we talk about mind the gap. I think we should say map the gap. We need to understand what the gap really is, and then use the synergy that we already have at European level.
And where this gap really is in Poland, for example?
In Poland was a difficult question. I don't have the data of the map in Poland, but I think Poland is definitely one of the leading countries in terms of expertise. You have a lot of company. I mean, looking today at this ecosystem here, you can see how much there is. Then it's difficult for me to say what the university situation is, but I'm sure there is always space for improvements. Even if, I take the case of Romania, where we have the center. Romania, contrary to common belief, is a very good country for IT professionals. There's a lot of investment made by the government. The industry are creating inside the campus their own, let's say, company position. So they recruit directly from the university. This is a very good model, and I think it could be exported in other countries.
Okay. In the beginning, you mentioned three dimension. One of this dimension was coordinating common approach in Europe. And how far from this goal are we today, from your point of view?
We are still in an early phase. We are not there yet. There is in the agenda of the European Union the so-called digital decade from 20 to 2030. One of the topic is really the skills. So how do we just did a review, an half of the peer review a few months ago, and we have seen, of course, some steps. For example, the Cyber Skill Academy organized by the Commission. We saw some other at national level, but there is still the lack of like an orchestration. And as I said at the beginning, these things takes time. It takes 5 years, 10 years. It's difficult to measure now. But alone, this is not enough. We really need to work on closing the technical gap, so that we need less people to do what we do today. Otherwise, this target is just growing and moving. It will move to AI. It will move to other 6G. It will move to other technologies. So we have to tackle in a different way.
Okay. Thank you for our conversation.
Thank you, Dominika. Appreciate it. Thank
Gościem Dziennika Gazety Prawnej był pan Luca Tagliaretti, dyrektor wykonawczy Europejskiego Centrum Kompetencji w dziedzinie cyberbezpieczeństwa. Dziękujemy.